Hello, guys. It is Wednesday. It is the 13th already. Wow, 13th of January in 2021. You are tuned into the Topher Spin Meteorites Meteorite Crew Hangout. The usual suspects are all here, and we're really just going to play it by ear today. We got a nice crowd, some nice meteorites. I'm thinking about talking about some hammerstones and what that means. We also have two video check-ins this week. Our European friends are back at work. No more holiday for them. So Marco Geyser and Maxime both sent in videos for us today, and they kind of lead one into the other. So I thought that was pretty neat. They didn't know it, but they do. So if anyone has anything they want to show off, by all means, raise your hand, and we'll go right to you right now. Well, one of the things that I like to collect, and a lot of collectors of meteorites focus on certain things or have their little niches. I enjoy witness falls, and I enjoy hammer events. A witness fall is obviously when it's a witnessed event, and then they go out where they expect to find the rocks, and they find the rocks. A hammer event means something got nailed, basically. Something came out of the sky, a meteorite came out of the sky and hit something, whether it was a house, a car, the street in Kenya for Gatuto, just recently in 2020. So there's a lot of hammer events, and what's crazy is the amount of value that a hammer event adds. It's extremely rare for something to get hit by a meteorite here on Earth. Luckily, I'd love to have one land in my backyard any day I'm sitting out there, but the odds of that happening aren't very great. So I have some hammer stones hammer collection that I want to show you, but they're pretty expensive and they're hard to get. So they're just representative pieces to tell the story. So anyone in the group who has hammered stuff, grab that as well. I first want to check in with one of my contributors and partners. Ron Metchis has been creating some really nice videos for us. If you've been a member of the Hangouts for a while or watching us on YouTube, you've seen the backlit displays for palasites that he's built, talks us through step by step, gives you an itemized list of what you need and everything. He recently did a project and a video for us on reverse electrolysis. So that was back a few weeks ago, and really, really good information there. And again, there's no egos here. We don't know everything. We're experiencing this and learning together. So that's part of the fun. I'm going to highlight you, Ron.
Okay.
Ron did an amazing project. And I'm just going to let him talk to us about it.
Yeah. Okay. So this is, I hope you can see you can see the camera.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Let me see if I can focus this a little bit better. That's about as good as it's going to get, I'm afraid. Okay, so a few weeks ago, I posted a meteorite box opening for the sphere, and it was kind of like all washed out. It looked like a typical, just somebody made the sphere and smoothed it out, polished it, but didn't have much of an etch. So I've been getting more experience with etching and sealing and everything like that. So I thought this is, and I saw another one of these online that somebody had done, and it just looked outstanding. So I went ahead and I etched it, and this is the result. You can see, this is my favorite part right here, that little inclusion. Mm-hmm. I think that's the best part of the whole thing.
Yeah, it's like an eyeball looking at you.
Yeah. So the sphere came out very nice. It was, I didn't do the polishing. I did spray it with the automotive clear coat, which shines it up a lot. Turn over a little bit here. But I mean, it just, as soon as I started putting, and this is ferric chloride, by the way. Mm-hmm. I don't have nitol.
And ferric chloride is a lot easier to get too.
Yeah. Actually, you can buy pre-mixed nitol, I found out. I was a little had a few qualms about mixing it up, so I understand it's pretty volatile.
That is gorgeous.
Anyway, this came out just as soon as I put the ferric chloride on, it just started etching immediately. This is I timed this. This is about 1 minute and 45 seconds worth of putting on ferric chloride.
Wow.
Literally,
it's beautiful.
It's so quick. It's so quick. So I show in the a very detailed. I tend to get a little bit into the detail of these videos about all the different things I'm using. You know, the isopropyl and the neutralizer, the ferric chloride, and distilled water and all the whole thing. You know, I try and be as accurate as I can and be as complete as I can.
And that's super appreciated, because like you point out at one point, you're like, make sure you're not using aluminum. You know, because it's going to have a reaction. Use a plastic bin. Someone might just put down some tin foil and think, oh, I'm going to protect myself that way. No,
that's what I did, because I pulled out a pie pan originally and put the thing in there. Immediately started smoking like crazy. So I ruined my wife's pie pan. But my favorite part was when I put it into the final, the alcohol bath. I couldn't find anything small enough to fit. I don't want to use a lot of alcohol, so I found one of my grandkids' old sippy cups. You know, they've outgrown them. It had Spider-Man on it, so it fit this thing just perfectly. So I used that to soak it overnight, just get rid of all the excess water or whatever might have seeped into the micro cracks.
Yeah.
So
now I don't want you to tell how you did this, but because they have to watch the video to find out. But when you put it in that cup, I've soaked enough meteorites to know you do not want to put a round ball into a cup deep where you cannot get it out with your fingertips. So
I found that out.
So imagine that at the bottom of a cup and you can't get it out with your fingers. I'm not going to tell you how Ron did it. I thought it was ingenious, and the result is spectacular.
Yeah. So I made I did a couple of add-ons. I show the thing before and after. I do this inclusion area right here. I took a photo of it before, because it's my favorite part of the whole thing. I took a before photo and then took an after photo, and then I put them in the same frame so you can see it side by side. And then I did, I threw in that outdoor little 20 or 30-second video that I did previously, just because it looks nicer outdoors than it does under artificial light.
Yeah. In fact,
so that's my. Now the only thing that I'm really upset about this week is that piece of turgut that I've been expecting now for 28 days is still not here.
Oh, geez.
It's been the last time I heard of it. It was in Chicago. That was 9 days ago.
Wow.
It hasn't hidden her hair since.
That's crazy.
Yeah, still coming. At least it's in the United States somewhere.
Yeah, I'll tell you what. Let me pause for 1 second.
Okay.
Yeah, but when you look at it side by side, you can really tell the dramatic difference.
I could probably pull that up here. Give me just a couple of minutes.
Oh, awesome. Yeah.
It's going to take me a moment.
That's fine. So yeah, we'll just move on, because I think that is super cool. And I really thank you for allowing me to use that content.
I'm happy to.
Yeah. You made that video. It makes it really super easy. While we're waiting on that, I probably struggle like every meteorite collector with eyesight, and we want to see something super small. So I've tried out a bunch of things, and I'm open to suggestions. This is the old standard eye loop, 40 magnification. It's illuminated from the bottom, and as you can see, the batteries wear out very quickly when you use it as often as I do. And the cheapest thing about it is that switch. The switch fails before anything, and I literally have gone through a dozen of these things. So I decided, you know what? I'm going to upgrade and do something like this, because it has variable lenses. You just stick a different magnification lens in there, and it's an actual pair of glasses. Yeah. My wife calls me the biggest nerd in the world when she walks in my office and I'm sitting there with a rock in my hand like this, Honey, I Shrunk the Kid style. And then every time I go to put them down, that stupid lens falls out. So I started using one of these. It's a film negative inspector. It's lit as well with LEDs on the bottom, but it's only 30 times magnification, which really isn't good enough. So now I'm using this, and it has really good magnification, especially when you throw in that. But there's got to be some type of illuminated magnifying device that everyone's using that I don't know about. So if you guys can fill me in on your secrets of what you use to really, really inspect your meteorites, I'd sure appreciate it. And Ron, yeah.
Hang on a second. I'm still, for some reason, not letting me share this particular screen. Let me try something.
I was having the same problem myself trying to get it shared a second ago.
Yes.
There we go. Yeah. We are back in action. Yeah, look at the dramatic difference.
Okay, can you still see that?
Yeah.
Okay, good. Yeah, that's the before and after of the exact same spot.
Wow. That is crazy different.
Yeah, it one on the left, the before is the way I got it. It was a nice piece and everything. You can see the granular structure.
Mm-hmm.
But boy, when you put the ferric chloride on, boy, that thing popped.
Yeah, it's subtle and dim but present.
Yeah.
In the beginning, but as soon as it's etched.
Yeah, and it as you turn the meteorite, the way the light refracts off the different crystal structures, you get a different view from every vantage point.
Yeah, that's phenomenal. Because these are 8-sided crystals, I think.
Yeah, it's an octahedrite.
So think about, like, the way it was described to me was, if you think about I didn't play Dungeons and Dragons, but the multi-sided dice, if you had an 8-sided die, what it would look like. Imagine all those crystals kind of packed together, and then you super glue all those dice together, and then you shave the outside. That's what you're looking at. You're seeing different parts of that crystalline structure.
One of my favorite parts, if you look at the I guess the 4 o'clock area, that little appendage that comes out, that shiny spot right there, the way it kind of like jumps out at you, and also around 7 o'clock, that little reverse L-shaped little piece on the bottom. That's if you have these little details that really pop for you.
I may now you didn't even sand or polish this to a certain grit. You just basically...
No, it came in perfectly polished. That's what I liked about this. The guy, God, I forget his name. He did a really amazing job preparing the surface. There's no machine marks. There's no scratches. It was absolutely perfect. It's like ball bearing smooth.
Wow.
It was just absolutely perfect. And that's what allowed me to get this final result. A lot of these I see, they have turning marks on them from a lathe or something. But I don't know how he does it. But man, this guy's a master. Yeah. It's too bad he's retiring.
Well, glad you got one when you could have.
Oh yeah. Well, I was looking for a sphere for a number of years, but they're all priced out of my range. I especially wanted a Gibeon. Gibeon is really expensive.
Yeah.
But
and to be honest
for this.
Well, to be honest with you, I made, this is my own personal belief. By the way, hey, John Higgins, this is my own personal belief. That meteorites really shouldn't be messed with. Like, you don't need to transform it into a statue or things like this. You don't need to carve it in different shapes. There are some rare exceptions. With Campo de Cielo, there's just so much material. There's tonnage and tonnage of it. So it's not a rarity. Yeah, it's a meteorite and it's rare, but it's not a rare meteorite. There's tons of the stuff. So and it's very conducive to being worked with like that.
Yeah.
So I have no problem with that. And also Muoniana lusta from Sweden has a really beautiful Vidmanstatin pattern on it. It's really beautiful, a lot for jewelry as well. And then the next step up would be, like you said, Gibeon. But Gibeon, you're twice the price as Muoniana lusta.
Well, the thing with Muoniana lusta is it's such a ruster. I bought one and literally rusted in half on me.
Yeah.
I had to electrolyze the bejesus out of that thing just to stabilize it, but I lost a lot of weight, probably 20-30%. I did end up with a couple of decent pieces. The big piece, the smaller piece actually turned out to have a big inclusion in it, about 1.5 inches across. So I had a friend of mine who's a machinist space it off flat, and I etched it, and it's sort of stable. It still flakes once in a while. The other part I left as is. I just cleaned it and electrolyzed it, and just left it alone. And they're still sitting in my cabinet down here. And I was really disappointed. Now I do have a slice that I forget who I bought it from, but they did an amazing job of stabilizing it. It's been on my shelf for 2 years and no rust.
Wow. Yeah, that's great because unfortunately there's some meteorites that you that you don't own them, you're just renting them, unfortunately.
Yeah. Well, the Alatai was another one that I had an issue with. Other than that, most of my meteorites are pretty stable. It's relatively dry here. I think we have average about 20% humidity or something like that. It's pretty dry. It's kind of like Arizona where I live. And but people live over by the ocean. Well, of course, the salt atmosphere eats these things away.
Yeah, I would never. Yeah, Arizona is my cup of tea. Yeah.
Well, lived there for 22 years, so
that's great. Tell you what, let's do a check-in with Marco. No, you know what? Yeah, Marco Geysers first. So.
Hello everyone. I hope you're all doing good and you have a great hangout. Unfortunately, I'm not able to join live today. It was so much fun the last 3 weeks, but my work started again, and because of that, I'm lying in bed right now. At the last weeks I showed you some examples of my collection of oriented meteorites, and today I want to show you or give you an idea what characterizes oriented meteorite. So which features have to be visible to call a meteorite oriented. Let's start. Yeah guys, it's very important for me to point out that the criteria that I'm showing now are my personal criteria to characterize a meteorite as an oriented meteorite. So let's start. Yeah, the first criteria is the aerodynamical form. Here you can see an oriented meteorite with its direction of flight, and you can clearly see the aerodynamical form of the piece. The second criteria is that a meteorite should show radial flow lines or elongated ragmaglets. Here we have a nice example of radial flow lines. On this image you can see elongated ragmaglets. If we have a look on the back side or the trailing side of oriented meteorite, it shows so-called rollover lipping. Here we have an example of a rollover lip on the back side of an oriented meteorite. And another criteria on the backside of an oriented meteorite is a frothy, bubbly fusion crust. Look at all those bubbles on that piece. Yeah, that's a frothy fusion crust. Yeah, now my personal opinion is that if 3 of the 4 criteria are fulfilled, we can call a meteorite oriented. If only 2 criteria or 1 criteria is fulfilled, we talk about flight marking. And of course, if all 4 criteria are fulfilled, a meteorite is highly oriented. Yeah guys, here we have an example of a highly oriented meteorite. So let's look on the criteria. First, you can see a clearly aerodynamic form. Then it shows radial flow lines. On its backside, it shows rollover lipping. And of course, a frothy bubbly fusion crust. So this piece is definitely highly oriented. Yeah, and here we have an example of a flight marked meteorite. So if we have a look on the piece, it shows definitely an aerodynamical form. Look at those noses here. It's also flat on its backside, but we don't see any radial flow lines on that piece. We don't see a rollover lip, and we don't see frothy fusion crust. So only 1 criteria is fulfilled, which is the aerodynamical form. So this piece is definitely not oriented, but it shows signs of flight marking. Yeah, and now of course it's very interesting to see what means orientation. How does such an oriented meteorite form? And for that we will have a look in the field guide of meteorites. There's a very interesting picture in there that shows how oriented meteorites form. Yeah, on this image we can see 3 scenarios during the atmospheric flight of a meteorite. Yeah, let's start with the first scenario on the left side of that picture. So that is what happens with most meteorites. Most meteorites during the atmospheric flight tumble in all directions, and this leads to almost spherical and very smooth forms. Yeah, here you can see the meteorite tumbling around on scenario 1. Yeah, this piece shows absolutely no orientation. It shows a smooth surface, so that is really a standard shape of a meteorite. And now it becomes interesting, because if a meteorite rotates on only one axis, that's the scenario in the middle of the picture, then so-called nose cone oriented meteorites can form. Yeah, and here on scenario 2 you see the formation of a nose cone. Yeah, here we have some examples of nose cone oriented meteorites. And last but not least, on the right side of the picture, you can see a so-called shield form of oriented meteorite. That happens if a stone has a completely stable flight during the atmospheric entry, and this leads to shield forms. Here we have the shield shape forming of meteorites. And here's some examples of heat shield oriented meteorites. Yeah guys, I hope you liked this little educational video regarding the orientation of meteorites. I wish you a great hangout. I'm looking forward to see everything tomorrow on YouTube. And have fun, guys, and see you next week. Bye bye.
Hi everyone, Maxime from Brussels here. I hope you're all doing great. So today for the hangout I wanted to share with you two meteorites I have right here. And those two meteorites have very nice shapes and they are interesting because they show features that tells a lot about what happened during their respective falls. So the first one is that unclassified NWA, probably an ordinary chondrite. And the second one is a classical one, it's Cyclotaline here. And this one is really interesting because it shows signs of shredding and bending that tells about the violence of the Cyclotaline event. So I will show that to you more precisely right now. Okay guys, let's begin with the first meteorite, which is the ordinary chondrite. So as you can see, it has a very nice shape. It's very smooth, very glossy. It also has very nice ridges, like here. And actually, I don't know if we can say that this is an oriented specimen. It would be really great to have your opinion about that, guys, because this part here makes me think of a shield, but it doesn't have flow lines. And yeah, I think this is not an orientation feature, but this is mostly due to the odd shape of the meteorite. But in any case, this is a very nice specimen. I really like it. And actually it's very satisfying to have a look at it. But it's also very frustrating because you have the impression that there is something missing here, and the same here. And actually this is the case, because as you can see, there is a secondary fusion crust right there and also there. And yeah, that tells us that there was some fragmentation that occurred at probably very high altitudes, meaning that there was still time for the stone here to melt and create a secondary fusion crust with no ablation. But yeah, it's a really interesting specimen, very nice. I really love it. Then let's move to the second one, which is the Cyclotaline. So as you can see, it has also a very strange shape. It's a bit like a droplet here, or a bullet. It is very smooth too, very glossy. And yeah, I really like that kind of specimen for Cyclotaline. But for this one, I think the best part is that side here, because as you can see, it shows signs of bending and shredding. And that's really interesting because it shows the violence of the Cyclotaline event. And that's quite incredible to think that metal here was bended due to pressure and heat that were caused by velocity and friction. And that's really, really nice to see, and also impressive to see metal being bended like that. That's very nice. So yeah, I really like this specimen too. It's very interesting. And then the last thing I wanted to show you today is something I received last week, which is not a meteorite, but it's related to a meteorite. So it's a piece of glass here. And this is not related to Chelyabinsk, but this is related to park forest. So this is a piece of the shattered glass from a Plymouth Breeze car, a 1997 Plymouth Breeze car, which was broken by the fall of the park forest meteorite. So that's quite interesting. And actually I have a piece of park forest, but it's very small and I would like to get a larger one to make a nice display with that. But yeah, That's nice to have some memorabilia too. So that's it for today, guys. I hope you enjoyed all the videos I have prepared, and I really can't wait until tomorrow to have a look at the recording of the Hangout on YouTube and have your opinion about this meteorite and to know if you think it's oriented or not. We will see. But anyway, I wish you will have a great Hangout this week and see you next week.
Be there. I definitely appreciate the guys putting those videos together. Right now, I figured I'd share with you just a small little, I mean, it's what I have, but they're small little pieces of meteorites. These are all famous meteorites because they are hammer events. So, and a lot of the collectors here will have some of these, I hope, and we can talk about them. This one is a contested one. Did it really kill a cow? Seriously, it seems to be in some places that Valera it's added as a cow killer just to add to the value of it, to the story of it.
Well, the vet testified on paper, I heard.
Oh, really?
Yeah, there's actually a document that he signed, but it wasn't, I think it was years after the event occurred, though.
And who's this talking? I didn't catch it.
Oh, it's Sam.
Oh, okay, awesome. Thanks. Yeah. So there's my little hunk of it, little 1/5 of a gram. But so in 1972, I was a year old when that happened. Now, tell you what, let's do this. Play a game. This hit a house in Louisiana. Can anyone name it?
That's
This
the
is-
One that hit that lady.
What's that?
Was that the one that hit that lady, Mrs. Hodges?
Nope, that was Silicaga.
Ah.
This is New Orleans. So very small pieces of it, but that one hit a house in the middle of the afternoon too, which is pretty cool. That's one thing about my labeling and stuff. If it's a witness fall, I don't just put the date. You got to have the time. That tells a lot of the story about it too.
Topher, excuse me
Yeah.
for interrupting, Art Wagner. I was just wondering, those things would probably look spectacular under a microscope, and I don't know if your microscope you can hook up to your laptop as a monitor to, so we could see them as you would see them through the microscope.
Yeah, unfortunately, no. My microscope is a lab quality one, but it's circa my age.
Okay.
No, so there's no electronics on that thing, or no. I will have a new lighting ring for reverse and cross polarization, and then and I also have a phone mount. So I'll be able to take pictures and maybe shoot a little video, and then if Zoom allows me to share it, I'll share it with you.
Excellent.
Anyone guess what this one is? It hit a car in Michigan.
Is that Peekskill?
This is not Peekskill. This happened in Michigan. It is Warden. So this happened on someone got out of work early. Check the calendar. If the first of the month was a Friday, someone got in their car 5 o'clock on a Friday thinking this is gonna be a great weekend, right as a rock from space landed on them. So there's a nice little chunk of that, of Warden. Now, I wonder what this could be. This one hit a car, but in Peekskill, New York. Yeah. So this is the car crusher. Again, they're just little small fragments, but it's really cool, the story behind them. And every one of my pieces has the serial number on it. Now there was another car that was hit, and this is part of the rear window. So we already talked about Peekskill. We talked about Warden. This is another car that was hit. It was a 1997 Plymouth Breeze. That was Park Forest. So this is the Park Forest Plymouth Breeze windshield. It's actually the back of the window, back window. But it's really neat because when you look at, I have some other ones, some for sale, and they actually have antenna lines through them, which are super cool. So we also collect the hammer effects. So not just the hammer meteorites, but the nailed item. So that happened in 2003. Then let me see here. I have 3 more. This one is Cameron's favorite.
Yeah.
Silicaga.
And Hodges one.
Yeah. I think one of only a handful, maybe 2 or 3 people ever documented to have been struck with a meteorite.
I saw her on when she was still alive. She was on that old Groucho Marx show.
You Bet Your Life? Or
yeah, You Bet Your Life. Yeah, she came out there. Or no, it wasn't What's My Line. It was What's My Line.
Okay.
And they actually had the actual meteorite, and she came out and described it. It's really interesting.
Wow.
She was also on, I think it was I've Got a Secret also.
Yeah, that could be what it was. Yeah, it was one of those 1950s, 60s type game shows.
Yeah.
I think it was I Got a Secret. Yeah. So
really, there was a big lawsuit about who owned that thing.
Yeah, it's a really sad story when all said and done.
But I think they settled. The guy, I think, that owned, because she didn't own the house. The guy that owned it, I think he settled for a new roof or something like that.
Yeah, it hit her, but she was renting the house.
Yes.
So the landlord or the homeowner actually owns the meteorite. And it just sucks because what I heard is she actually bought it back, but wanted so much money for it that no one bought it from her, and she basically died poor with a meteorite. Here's another one that hit. This one hit a mailbox. So this
Say at Kaga too. There's also a great backstory on the other stone that most people own the piece of, which is the Mckinney Stone, and that was a real boon for him. He was going down the road, and I think it was on a horse cart, and found that rock on the road and didn't think of anything of it, if I remember correctly, and then came back and got it the next day, and he ended up getting a house out of it and everything else. So whereas she, with all the lawsuits and everything, couldn't even sell the thing and ended up donating it to a museum. The McKinney family, it changed their lives for the better, whereas it changed her life for the worse.
Yeah. Jeez, go figure. This one's cool because it's traced back to the Smithsonian, and a lot of the small samples are, but I have paperwork all the way from my little piece to a 10-gram piece that was in the Smithsonian. So Claxton is the one that hit the mailbox in Georgia. A single stone event. That's what's even more cool about the whole thing is, I could see like a Chelyabinsk where you have a couple thousand rocks raining down. Yeah, it's gonna hit something. A single stone hits your mailbox. Come on now, that is too cool.
Before the mail was delivered or after?
Yeah. So there's the tiny piece of a single stone. Don't know where the main mass is now, but it's probably in a museum somewhere. Then the last hammer one I have is actually one that I put together. So this was I had these available for sale a while ago. This is the Aguas Zarcas Marina hammerstone, and these were collected by Dustin Dickens and his buddy pre-rain, so within the first like 2 or 3 days. So there's my little 1/4 gram, and nice little write-up on the back of it's a CM2 carbonaceous. Vincent is his buddy. So this was a fun one to bring to market, to make the packaging for and design it, and I think I had like 10 or 12 pieces, but that was a fun little project to work on. I enjoyed
Do you
that.
have any green paint on it?
No, I wasn't. Beggars can't be choosy. Yeah. Besides, with those small pieces, it's really hard to see much of anything. Although, what's great about the material being a CM2, it's really friable. So when it hits, the crust falls off. So basically, a lot of the little hammer pieces that I was selling had crust on them. Cameron has his hand up. Let's go to him. Don't know where Cameron went to. Oh, you gotta turn on your camera, bud. There we go.
Oh, sorry, I'm here.
Howdy, sir.
Talking about hammerstone, about Ms. Hodges. I have that exact same Smithsonian COA. So
that's awesome.
I have come across a handful of other tiny pieces over the exactly couple of years that I've been looking.
Oh, nice.
So those are all silicaca. I have a tiny little bit of Claxton. I've actually seen that mailbox in a museum.
Oh, that's wild. You got a big hunk of it, dude.
So it does go on tour. I want to say it was at the Telus Science Museum in Georgia. It was on tour. Let's see. You introduced me, Topher, to Blaine Reed.
Mm-hmm.
And I bought this at the Tucson Gem and Mineral Show for like $12 a gram, something ridiculous.
Mm-hmm.
So this is Vaca Muerta.
That's beautiful, man.
You know how much I love in cuts.
Yeah.
So, let's see. Bought that from you.
Oh, nice.
Of course. The only other thing I have is the Indonesia. What was
cool.
it?
Kolang.
Mine says, yeah, Kolang. It's
Kolang.
Mine was sent to me by the Meteorite of the Month before it was officially named. So yeah, this is actually a piece of what hit Joshua Hudagungolung's house.
That's awesome. So you have about 7 or 8 hammers. Well, silicaga, yeah.
You know, I got a couple.
Yeah.
I got some Chelyabinsk shattered glass.
Yeah.
Also from Topher Spin Meteorites. I don't know if you are sensing a theme.
Yeah.
But, the only other thing I had to shout out to was this month's Meteorite of the Month was Zob.
Holy crap.
I did jump on the double portion bandwagon.
I was gonna say
I'm no longer in the $50 a month bracket. This is what $100 a month will get you.
And
so
that's I'm super happy for you. As a dealer, I'm like, how in the hell? Because Zob is like $20 a gram, my man, and that's raw. You know what I mean? That's not sliced, prepped, and packaged.
Right. And yeah, I mean, I've got I know I've showed you guys this before, but I mean, this was my biggest piece, before that, and it, I got it because of the crust.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it was nice to have slices because,
Wow.
why choose between crust and interior? I'm trying not to be in the light and in the glare, and I'm not doing it very well. Trying to show off all the metal inside.
Wow.
But anyway,
That's some gorgeous stuff. That has a lot of metal. Man.
So that's all I had.
That's awesome. Thanks, man. I have something that has a lot of metal in it too. Let me see if you guys can identify this. I'll show you the back side first, and then I'll show you the front side. Okay, so this is the back side. What are some things we notice about it?
Some shallow red maglet.
Yeah, it kind of has a smooth and flowy mix to it. You can see there's two different lithographies.
It almost looks terrestrial.
It may be. No. If you look up here, you'll notice this is all one type of material. But in the middle, and then all down here we have another material, and it's all liquefied and melted. So we're looking at a melt breccia.
Yeah. Tacidet.
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
Has to be Tacidet.
That is Tacidet 004. Correct. Also known as the Niger impact melt. But it is with the lighting correct, you can see the flow and the melt in between the metal. And then you really see the metal stand out in the light. But this is a beautiful, beautiful meteorite. And yeah, it's also one of those where you have these veins of metal. So the magnet is really super attractive. When you're moving the magnet around, it jumps from one vein to the other. Yeah. So like when I'm on here blindfolded, I could tell you there is a vein right there. It has that strong of a pull on it.
Wow.
And you can see the same on this side. You feel it right there. It's not impossible, but it's really, really on there versus over here, not so much. I can take it off there versus here. It's like, so this is a impact melt breccia. I think, let me see here. Yeah, it's an H5. So this is an H5, meaning there's not going to be a whole lot of chondrules in there, and I really don't see any. Maybe I have to look at it under different lighting. But in this lighting here, you can definitely see the melt pattern all around here and coming through here. Yeah, so it's super, super neat. And it looks almost a little bit porous. So I got this off the man himself, Mr. E.T., Edwin Thompson. Yeah, great man and meteorite legend.
He's a lot of fun to hang out with at Tucson too. Let me tell you.
Were you thirsty in his room?
I was. He was mixing margaritas and all kinds of crap. I was walking in, a total stranger. Hey, want a margarita? I hung out there for several hours.
Yeah. Whenever I found myself there with Stephen Amera and Pat Brown, we would make sure that every friend that we ran into, we'd bring him to ET's room and to meet him and see his meteorites. And at the end of each day, there'd be a lull in the day, and before you know it, Stephen Amara and I would be crisscrossed on the ground looking up at our grandpa telling us meteorite stories and recounting the days of opening the NWA trade. Because I mean, he was a huge part of bringing, of opening up the NWA, trade in meteorites. So kind of like a legend, and he's a really.
I think Alan Lang walked in, a couple other big names in the media, and they're all bringing tequila. It was a party, man.
Yeah,
it was wonderful.
Yeah, I was amazed. I walked into some Russians' room, and I mean, they're super nice, but I basically tell them, like, dude, there's no way I'm taking shots of vodka. It's just not happening.
Yeah.
I'd be gagging. Yeah.
Nostrovia.
I have I actually just realized that I have 2 more hammer items. Well, this is questionable. I'll let you guys be the judge. Does this qualify as a hammer? So what we have here is Santa Filomena. Now, this is not the rock that hit a house, and that's not a tile from that house that was hit. But it's the next door neighbor house, and it's a rock that was found close. So, you know what? For me, I can call this, documentation of a hammer event, but I'm not going to call these, a hammer stone necessarily. But I really, really love this, the brecciation inside the Santa Filomena, and this one, I haven't seen it in a whole lot of other ones. This one it still has the clay on it, nearly fully crusted. I would have loved for that to hit that, but now that they're both unearthed, they're not allowed to touch anymore. Yeah. So this is my Santa Filomena, like 70 grams, and a good friend, Raymond Borges, picked this up while he was actually hunting in Santa Filomena in Brazil. And I have one other hammer collection. Dun, dun, dun. This is Park Forest. This is the Garza ball. The Garza stone went right through their house. As you can see, it entered, went through their house and hit some of the door frame, the window frame. So in here, well, it actually moved around, but there's a piece of the shutters. There's a piece of the glass. There's a piece of the wood, piece of the drywall, and a piece of the meteorite. And I have to open it up and repackage it because that slipped down a little bit. But so this happened in 2003. This is the Park Forest, Illinois, the Garza house. Yeah, you can see where it went through the wall. Now this is a cool package that was put together by, I think Greg Hoope is the one who did this. The Hoope brothers back then. You don't see that anymore. But yeah, so then Mirko Grau set me up with this one out in the UK. So that's the extent of my hammer collection or hammer items. Is there anything that someone wants to share, perchance? If not, I have some vaca muertas that just arrived, and it's just fun to say that,
Hey, Topher, I'll go with the hammers.
Oh, you got hammers? Nice.
So hammer falls, most of them aren't from the actual hammer stones. Obviously, like you're saying, a lot of them are hard to come by from that particular piece. But quick roll down. Start with the ones that are kind of, like you said, a little questionable. So that is Carancas, which allegedly killed a ewe, female sheep. So little pieces of that.
Caracas.
This one
is Venezuela.
I do believe so.
Yeah. think so.
It is Peru.
Peru. Okay.
Peru. This one you don't see at all. This is a carbonaceous hammerfall.
Mm-hmm.
This is Bell's, which is incredibly hard to get.
Wow.
So the first piece that was found hit a house on there. I think there was a total about 280 grams of that.
Damn.
Cameron, you just picked up a piece of Katol. This is not from the hammerstone, but one of the pieces of Katol went through a house or hit a roof. I'm sorry, I didn't go through it. And that's May 22nd. That's one of the birthday pieces. You got a Juancheng. That's the pot hitter.
Wait, that's a hammerstone?
That's a hammer fall.
Hammer fall.
So yeah, there were a lot of pieces. One piece hit I think it went through a roof and landed in like a tea kettle or something like that.
Oh, that is, I learned something. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. This is also one of the allegeds. Again, you don't see, I guess you can get more of this. I got tiny little fragments. This is New Concord, which allegedly hit a horse. That's
Wow. In
the
1860?
Cult, the cult killer. Yeah. You showed this one already. This is New Orleans, the house hitter. Again, allegedly, depending on documentation, Valera. You should recognize one of these. I appreciate that.
Nice.
Piece that you had. This is St. Louis. So you had a lot that had hit cars, and one of the things that I was doing was collecting the ones that hit cars. So this one was cool because it actually went through the car while he was driving it.
Yeah.
Landed right in his back seat.
Oh my God.
So
I need that.
Yeah. And then, you showed Peekskill, so I'll cruise by them, Peekskill, Claxton. You had the Park Forest windshield and the pieces, so I got pretty small with the piece of glass. Yeah, we talked on I think it was the McKinneys. I don't want to butcher it. I'll post it up afterwards in case I'm butchering their last name, because that was really a cool story that I remember reading about with Sayakagla.
Yeah.
Or however you pronounce it. Obviously Kolang. And then you showed Warden already. And then Vanalis, this is not part of one of the hammerstones, but that was a fall that hit a house and was found immediately.
Wow.
So those are the hammers.
Look at that, dude. That's freaking awesome. That is, and see, the thing is, you don't need a huge hunk of anything. It's the story behind it. That's what gives it its value, and that's what makes it special, and that's what separates it from just a little something else. Man, thank you so much, man. That was a great collection, Mike.
Yeah, no problem. And I had actually never tried to, sort them out like that. So I'm glad you put that as a topic, and I was able to go, I wonder how many I actually have.
Yeah.
Yeah, me either, because I completely forgot about Carancas and Juancheng. I got micros of both of those.
Yeah.
So.
I didn't know that Juancheng was.
Yeah, me either.
I have a lot of it, and now I'm going to mark it up. No.
I think there's a couple other that have things like written about them. Like I know, like you know, they talk about them being more rare. Like I think Galguni has a couple stories where they destroyed a hen house or stuff like that. I don't know if it was ever confirmed or not. So those are kind of, maybes.
Yeah, but mainly with a hammer fall, there's a pretty documented event, that makes it a hammer. Like a guy looking up through the hole in his house. That's a pretty evident sign. Besides that, I guess the best you can come with it, without seeing the damage to the ground or the item that was hit by the meteorite. This is probably the best that I can come up with, and I don't touch this, so hopefully this will work. In fact, I'm gonna put on a glove. This one is well, we don't know what to call this one. I will be forever calling it Gademis, but it's now, I guess, going to be classified as a non-witnessed fall, as not even a probable. But what's interesting about this specimen is, besides just being utterly gorgeous with contraction cracks. It has an impact scuff from where it hit the ground. So you'll see that it's oriented in this fashion. It came down, impacted the ground here, and you have radiating scuff marks throughout the entire meteorite. So that is probably and I don't know if it's really capturing it in detail, but it is quite evident when you're holding it that has not been, that's exactly where it hit the ground and impacted like that thud. But I'm really hoping that this will be classified and given a name soon. This is just a really, really gorgeous meteorite. I love this meteorite this fall, inside and outside. It's gorgeous. It has these great contraction cracks, and all of them are pretty similar looking.
Is that a minor rollover lip by your index finger?
You know, it may be oriented. I honestly haven't flipped it around and held it enough to find out the orientation, but I know for a fact that it impacted the ground coming at you straight like that.
Oh yeah.
Which would make this.
It even looked like there were some flow lines, or maybe that's the scratches from impacting the road. But when you had a real close up there, it looked like there were signs of flow lines, but
yeah,
I'm not sure. Scratches and flow lines can be mistaken, I guess.
Which would make this the reverse side right here. And you do have a negative cavity in it on both sides, but yeah. So that's my personal collection sample of Gadamus, or whatever the scientists decide to call it when they actually do name it. But there's a good look at it right there. Kolang. Yeah. Yeah. So I love that one. All right. We got James Shelton in the house. Hey, buddy, you're on mute. But
Sorry.
There you go. All right. Hey, James.
Hi. Getting back to that St. Louis hammerstone that hit the car, I collect Missouri meteorites, and that happened not too far from where I grew up. I think it was back in 1950. And the fellow that had the car, he kept the stone. He kept it all his life. And he ended up in an old folks home, and he had it on the shelf on display in the old folks home until he passed away. And nobody knows what happened to it after he passed away. Steve Arnold went to the home, and he looked around outside in the landscaping and the gravel around the bushes and so forth, thinking that maybe somebody had just tossed it, but it was never found. So all that exists of that St. Louis is those little specks. That's what I have in my Missouri collection. It's just a little speck like that. It's still available once in a while, but you won't get much any bigger than that.
That is crazy, James. I had no idea. What an unfortunate story.
Yeah, it is.
Wow. Yeah, that's why, one of my we joke around, like, one of my worst fears is that when I die, my wife will sell my collection for what I paid for it.
Now that happened here in Independence. That's where I'm living now. There was a stone that fell a few feet from a fellow in a plowed ground, and he went over and picked it up, and he kept it on the shelf in his kitchen until he passed away. He wouldn't let anybody have any pieces of the Independence one. And finally, it was sold, and I think it's been cut up into about 11 or 12 slices. So if you're looking for Independence, Missouri, there's some of that out there occasionally now.
Wow. Yeah, you got to be a pretty serious collector to go after that one. Like whether it's your home state or it has a fall date on it that you like. because that's another thing that we were talking about, or Mike mentioned earlier about Katol was being their birthday fall. So makes it really nice to and a fun. I feel bad for people who have birthdays on like maybe Tissant, where there's only like either there's no witnessed falls or there's one witnessed fall and it's like an unobtainium, something like that. So I feel bad for people like that. But it's another fun kind of quest in your meteorite collecting to collect your birthday falls if there are any. And I'm fortunate enough to have 4 birthday falls. My collection is doing quite well. I have some.
Yeah, I really lucked out too. My birthday buddy is Mike Kelly, and he is a very resourceful gentleman. So he has hooked me up with several of mine.
And that's what this is all about, is helping people. In fact, if anyone has the birthday of June 2nd, reach out to me. I have a gift for you. You're going to have to prove your birthday is June 2nd. I'm not just giving gifts out. But hopefully someone in the Meteorite community who has a June 2nd birthday would appreciate a small gift. It was gifted to me, and I've upgraded, so it's only fair that I pass that love along to someone else. Hey, Marissa. I have some Huacamortas that these are weird looking stones, but I'm going to slice these puppies up and we're going to see what we get. This one right here is already sliced. It's 77 grams and just a beautiful mesosiderite. And it's not totally, I mean, yes, it looks weathered and cracked and stuff like that, but for what it is, for a Huacamorta, it's in really good shape. But what's one thing that I want to show you on a different example of this, and I really wish Pat Brown were with us today to talk about this, but like, look, you can see this like spider webbing in there.
Yeah.
Now, this looks extremely porous, and most of the times when we see a sample that has these obvious voids in it, here and here and here and here and here, all in the middle of a rock, we usually say that's a sign that it's not a meteorite because there's no voids, no air pockets and stuff in space. But this is a old and weathered meteorite, and as you can see, the outside has encroached into the rock and attached that. So that is a sign of terrestrial weathering. And whatever was on this side of the rock that was cut off might have been like, this might have been near the outside of the rock anyway. So this is an example of a 77 gram one that's cut. This is a 140 gram one that's not cut and is interesting to say the least. The reason I say it's interesting is, again, in meteorites, you usually don't see this layering and this onion peel of layers. Mm-hmm. And you see it again here, multiple layers. And, I'm not a geologist. I've never claimed to be a geologist. I've never gone to college. That to me looks like a sign of terrestrial material when you have layering like that. Mm-hmm. So, I guess just word to the wise, if someone showed me that and said, is that a meteorite? I don't think I would give them a thumbs up, but it's a very famous meteorite. It's Huacamorta, mesosiderite from Chile. This one here is 162 grams, and I think this actually shows the layering that I'm talking about better. Doesn't that look terrestrial?
Yeah, I was about to
Almost
say
like
the lake's full of
sedimentary.
that stuff.
Yeah, so, you know, I hate to give people with rock hound fever a pat on the back and a go get 'em boys, but you know, as meteorite experts that we are, let's not be so quick to dismiss and say, oh, it has this one feature, it can't be a meteorite. Meteorites are not layered, they're not sedimentary material. Well, that's not sedimentary, but I beg to differ with you that that's not layered looking. So I'll be cutting this or having it sent out for cutting. Probably make a nice slice down here and have two beautiful halves. And hopefully not lose too much. This is probably going to pop right off. Or if anyone wants a nice guacamole the way it is, these are available, although this is not a sales pitch. Just letting you know before I take a knife saw to it. But pretty interesting to have a large hand sample like that of a vaca muerta, and because a lot of times when you see them, they're sliced or they're a lot smaller. You know, this is a pretty good size end cut. You know, and it's just a beautiful meteorite. It's complex, especially you look at it under magnification. It just blows you away. All right. Hey, we got Stephen Amera joining us. How about that?
What's up, you guys?
The Boston Strangler himself. Yeah, we were just having a conversation about hammer stones and hammer effects and stuff like that.
Nice.
Yeah, and I only had one more thing that I wanted to that I was going to show off, and no one's really showing anything off today, so I'm glad I had a big pile. Yeah, I cleaned last week during the hangout. I opened a box and saw my 43-gram piece of Mars for the first time. This is my personal collection. Well, since then I've done some cleaning on it, and I now have a super clean piece of Mars. So making his official introduction. 43.4 grams of crusted Mars.
Wow. Jeez.
With barely any caliche on it.
That's amazing.
Thank you. Look at this.
How do you clean that? Ultrasonic or?
Yeah, ultrasonic with just water, distilled water.
Came out beautiful, man.
Thank
Dang.
you. This entire side here, this entire side was just one shield of plaster.
Oh my God.
When all said and done, I removed less than I think it was 0.18 grams when all said and done. But when you do it right, you're not removing material, you're removing just the caliche. You're getting it just soft enough. I use my dental picks to get in there and just soften it up, loosen it up, and then put it in the ultrasonic. If you leave it in the ultrasonic too much, I mean, you can see that it will fragment and fall apart. You will definitely lose material. So the idea is to get the water hot enough and get the material, the caliche, softened up, and then ultrasonic. But yeah, I spent a few hours on this one to get it the way I wanted it this weekend.
Right.
Were you glued to the ultrasonic cleaner as that was in there?
Yeah. Yeah, I don't run my ultrasonic too long. I don't. I like taking breaks in between and letting it just clean. You can actually see the crust drips over this side here. Yeah. I never thought in my wildest dreams that I'd have a piece of Mars this big. I mean, it's just absolutely ridiculous that any private citizen can own a hunk of the planet Mars.
That's huge, man.
It doesn't get old. I don't care how many years I'm doing this. The day that I hold a piece of Mars and don't feel super special, like the world's most special human at that moment in time, then I might as well just throw in the towel because I'm doing it wrong. Man, yeah. So that's a little bit of my advice to those out there with meteorites: is never lose sight of what you're holding, man. Like, take a moment from what's going on in the day, like we are today. There's all kinds of crap going on out there today, but for the last hour, the next hour, you know what? No one cares. We're here talking meteorites.
Mm-hmm.
Mike, what you got for us, buddy? You're on mute.
Going back to the Vaca Muerta, I pulled that out too, along with the hammers.
Oh, yeah.
So these are all little. The pieces over in the corner are the actual regular mesosiderite. But what's next to it, if you guys are interested in Vaca Muerta, every once in a while you'll find these for sale. That's a large eucritic inclusion that's been weathered out of there. So there's eucritic inclusions in there, and there's also diagonite type inclusions inside there. So those two stones on the left side are actually those two types of inclusions, and you don't see those quite as often, but they do come up for sale every once in a while, and they're fun to find and get.
So wow. Is that center, the tan piece, are you actually saying that has eucritic material? That is eucritic material?
Yeah, that's the theory behind it is, yeah, it's eucritic material.
Wow. See, that is why I love these hangouts, because like I don't know this stuff. That's why we have no egos in here, is because everyone learns something every single day. Like, that's crazy. I had no idea that it had. I've heard that it had eucritic material, but I had no idea that it was nodules or large amounts like that. That's pretty nuts, man. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah, no problem. And you can find pieces, I guess, where they're still, built into it and cut in there. But like you're saying, that meteorite's been on Earth for a long, long time. And you showed the exterior of yours, which kind of has a resemblance to shale balls, which happens with the irons as they weather over a long amount of time. And the kind of, the water intrudes over time and kind of gets that onion effect going. But you actually, every once in a while, you'll see bits of Vaca Muerta that have this great, interesting to me, some people probably don't like it, like copperish, copper salt green coatings to them.
Yeah.
That are really cool.
Yeah, you described it perfectly. I was about to say it looks like a old copper washer has some water buildup on it. What exactly is that? Is that part of the meteorite, or that's terrestrialization?
Yeah, that's terrestrialization. That's secondary mineral buildup on there from the decay.
Gotcha. All right. Cool. Yeah. When Pat's not here, we got to count on Mike to fact check.
Pat's not here?
No, I don't know. So everyone, make sure you say hello. Send Pat Brown a message, letting him know we missed him today.
I had someone who wanted to say hello, so say hello to Pat Brown.
Hi.
Hey there.
Hey.
There we go.
I have. Hey, what's going on?
You want to say hi?
Hi.
You just get out of the shower?
Mm-hmm.
Young meteoriticist in training.
You like meteorites?
Meteorites.
All right. Hey, I have a terrestrialized iron that you guys will recognize if you want to see.
Yeah, go for it.
All right, so here we go with the famous.
Hold on. Where are you? There we go.
There we go.
Wolf Creek.
Yeah.
Oh,
This is a pretty fat dead piece of Wolf Creek. So
yeah,
this
it is.
this is from I gotta check my COA, but I think this is Haig's. This is a piece from his collection, if I'm not mistaken, and I have to double check that. But somebody wrote Wolf on it, which I think is pretty interesting, and it's pretty dense. So I think there's metal in there somewhere. I'm just not gonna touch it though.
Yeah, that one I think you don't cut. That's
Yeah, but they tend to fall apart.
Yeah, definitely.
Oh.
And it wouldn't be worth it. It would like you said, it would just fall to pieces probably.
Yeah. Well, I'm probably gonna have a lot of small pieces of vaca muerta to put on the lap. But if I can manage a few slices out of these puppies, like, God, it'd be nice to get that cut right in half, you know?
Oh, definitely.
Yeah. Here, let's check in with Ron. He's been, unless Mike, unless she's gonna rush out. There you go.
She actually wanted to show you one of her favorite pieces, and since Stephen J. Amara Jr. is here, go ahead, show him, Gaines. Show me a piece. Barnstable.
Barnstable.
You're holding it back.
Barnstable.
There we go.
All right.
Nice. That's the one.
All right.
Did
Hey,
you?
would you like to see the Barnstable main mass?
Oh, yeah.
She said yes.
Does she want to see it?
Yep.
I'm showing her because all y'all seen it. I'm over here dropping things. Okay. So here's Barnstable Meteorite. It doesn't even fit in the
Yeah.
That's massive, dude.
What do you say?
That's really big.
Very big.
That's awesome.
Thanks.
You're welcome.
Right on. Thank you so much.
I'm glad you like meteorites. Keep with it. Okay.
Let's see here. Let's click over to Ron. There you go.
Yeah, I just got a slice here that I've had for a while. I wanted to show. This is I think I'm saying it right. This is Sayal Uhimar 01 Uhimir. This is about a 105-gram slice. It's really one of the few chondrites I have that you can actually see chondrules in.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I bought this. I got this from. Let me see who I get this from. Let's see. Here, there's right there. I bought this from Mike Martinez with Mayor Meteorites.
I don't even know him.
It's an L4, I believe it is. L4/5. But I was wondering if you guys could tell me. I noticed there's different different lithologies in here. You guys tell me a little more about this, and I'm a rank amateur when it comes to chondrites.
Yeah, Stephen Amara is probably the one who could look at the inside of a meteorite and tell you the story more than I can. But it looks like way down there at like 7 o'clock, all the way around to the outside, there's a swatch of light material with tightly packed chondrules.
Yeah.
And then underneath that, and also to the right, is a darker cloud that goes all the way through. It looks to me as though there's obviously two different lithologies, but then right in the middle where it all meets,
got that dark cluster.
Yeah, can you show that a little closer?
Let me see if I can get it a little closer here. Maybe.
Yeah, it pixelates a little too much.
Yeah, that's about the best I can do.
Yeah, It's weird because there's definitely two different lithographies there. You have two different materials, but then that one place in the center, I don't know if that's the what everything globbed around.
Yeah, this one was kind of a little fascinating to me when I bought it. It was one of the spur of the moment things I just purchased.
I think it could be a couple different things there. I think it could be exactly what Topher said, where like in the north you have the lighter material, and then in the south you have the dark material, and that could be two lithologies there. Also, the dark could be like a shocked portion of the stone as well. But if you look at the top right, around the 1-2 o'clock position, it looks like there's a couple of inclusions up there that could be part of that different lithology as well. You see those two class up there that are lighter?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah, at the end of the dark squeeze in the middle goes up to the top where those two things are. There are three different inclusions.
Let me flip it over and see if you can see anything else on the other side.
Yeah.
The other side is not polished; it's just cut. But you can see the chondrules a lot clearer.
Oh yeah. So now that top right is now the top left, and that looks like it's something different. And
that looks more like melt to me now.
Yeah, maybe in the middle.
Yeah.
Yeah, that almost looks meltish, but you could see there's definitely there's a few different things going on there.
That's a beautiful slice.
It's big.
Yeah. Ron, make sure you send me a picture of that and the name of it, please.
Okay.
Yeah, that's beautiful. And that's another great thing about these hangout sessions is, take a piece out of your collection and ask us a question like, what the heck is this? I've seen this little thing here. Kind of an embarrassing story, but when I first started out with meteorites, I had a Campo de Cielo crystal, 30-gram thing. And I just got whoever just joined, you can mute. There we go. There we go. So I had this Campo de Cielo crystal. Let me see if that fixed it. There we go. It was Ozman. Or no, it wasn't.
I signed in with my phone.
Okay, well, I muted Oz for right now. But anyway, I was working with this Campo de Cielo crystal, and I had my microscope out, a little USB one. I was getting all in there, and I found this really weird, like it looked like a torn ribbon. Like literally there was a ribbon inside the meteorite and it would look torn. And I took all these fantastic photos of it and I'm like, oh my God, this is amazing. And I put them up in a meteorite group and I was like, please, has anyone ever seen anything like this in their meteorite before? And someone said, yeah, did you just use a cloth to clean it? Because it looks like a piece of cloth got stuck in there. So but I have really, really good pictures of it. So in case you wanted to see what a piece of cloth looks like stuck in a meteorite, I got you covered. Let's see. Does anyone else have some show and tell? I'm going to hit pause for 1 second. So it's kind of a shame that that Pat Brown wasn't able to join us today because we're about to check in with Stephen Amara, and there we go. So now we're looking at Stephen Amara, and he's doing something that Pat Brown got us addicted to: microscopes, thin sections.
Well, here we go, guys. I've been sharing this quite a bit lately because I got a new microscope for Christmas, and of course, you can imagine my excitement. But
no doubt. Yeah, I'm still waiting for my light housing. I still can't get mine to work yet.
Yeah, and this is the funny part about microscopes is it seems like it's hard to piece together. It doesn't matter what you get. It matters how you get the parts together. And I purchased some cross-polarized lenses, linear cross-polarized lenses, for example. And it's supposed to produce this really beautiful color scheme you see on the camera right now. And I was actually having trouble with the lenses that I purchased. So and just so you know, I bought this Tiffin filter lens, a 52 millimeter linear cross polarized lens, and the results were terrible. And I'll show you real quickly, and then we'll proceed to go over this Torbigny. So this is the Tiffin linear cross polarized lens, and if you look to the left, or it might be your right. No, I think it's your left. So if you look to the left, as I'm turning this, you see how it never goes black, it's just blue?
Mm-hmm.
That's the problem with this lens. You're supposed to be able to reach extinction.
Yeah.
Which is basically when the two polarized lenses are 90 degrees turned from each other.
Mm-hmm.
So these are the linear polarized sheets I purchased. And if I turn them 90 degrees, and if you just watch to the left, eventually it's going to go to extinction.
There we go.
It's all the way black.
Jesus.
Or close to it. And it's funny, I had the lenses all along, and I just didn't realize that the expensive camera lens was the one that was the problem. So
now,
I got
just to fill people in who on YouTube who might not know what we're looking at. This is a thin section of meteorite. So about you shave a meteorite to 30 microns, put it on a sheet of glass, put it under a microscope, and we're looking at it under polarized light coming through at one angle and then filtering out light at a certain angle so we can see the effect that the crystals have on the light, and by the effect the crystals of the material have on the light, it gives us that color scheme and also helps identify what the materials are.
That's absolutely correct, man. And we have a pretty special thin section at that of any type of meteorite, and this is the very special angerite called Torbigny.
And thin sections are expensive to begin with. And then you factor in that Torbigny is about $400 a gram. How much is shaved off to get a thin section? It almost hurts me.
I know.
Yeah.
This is about, to give you an idea, guys, this is about 2 centimeters by length and 1 centimeter wide. So they used quite a large, well, I mean, for a lot of collectors, for the lower end of the price range, that's a pretty expensive piece of Torbigny that they use to produce this, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But it's really the way that you can appreciate the beauty. I mean, this is beauty on a microscopic level that we don't see. You know what I mean?
You get to see the shock lines in the crystals.
Definitely. There must be some of that going on.
Oh, big time.
All right, so here's the vugs. Here's one of the vugs that is a very popular feature of Torbigny. And it's something that Pat Brown had pointed out, or someone at the Meteorite Mansion pointed out.
That is massive.
Yeah, so this is that huge vug. Look at it's allowing a lot of the light to go through, actually.
Looks like a crater.
Right?
Wow.
Beautiful.
And if you look up there at the 12 o'clock position, there's some like dendritic growth coming in through the top, and that's really what that vug would look like on the inside. If you've seen Torbigny, most of the vugs appear white inside, and I believe that's a remnant of what you would see, that white stuff, and that's like some dendritic crystalline growth, I think.
Mm-hmm.
If I had to guess.
This is gorgeous.
Work of art.
It is. And there's people who have made beautiful artwork out of it, and Topher knows that.
Yeah, yeah, and you know, seeing it like this, you know, because we're talking about Neil Buckland. Neil Buckland does fantastic art photography of thin sections, and then blows them up to beyond, like, you know, 16 by 30 feet. And they're massive, and they keep the resolution, but seeing and kind of one of the scientists, Dr. Tony Irving, explained to me one time. He says seeing you know, the entire thin section at once is like looking at a mountain vista versus looking at it at a microscope. You're looking at the same vista, but you're looking at it with binoculars, and you have to piece it all together in your mind.
I can't imagine how many gigabytes of data each of the images are that Neil does.
Yeah,
it's incredible.
Well, that is fantastic, man. I'm glad you got that work, and I'm glad you're getting such fantastic pictures with it and images. The Angrate is just an explosive looking meteorite.
It's wonderful. I mean, there's some really cool parts in here that, you know, obviously I wish I could just zoom over and show you, but I'm still learning the controls a little bit.
Dude,
on
looks
the
like
microscope.
Looks like you got it down pretty much. Yeah.
Thank you.
Beautiful. Wow.
Yeah, Mirko mentioned that this inclusion right here should look like a cornflake, and guess what? It looks like a cornflake. He's absolutely right.
That's phenomenal, dude. I'm so glad you shared that with us, man, because now I'm even more motivated to get my microscope humming.
Oh yeah, do it. It's just, I mean, I'm enamored by it, man. I wish I had all the time in the world to play with it.
Yeah.
And the other thing I'm working on with it is micrometeorites. Trying to find them.
Yeah. Here is I don't know if I'll be able to zoom in all the way on this or not, but this is my piece of Durbigny, and it has a nice vug on it.
Holy smokes.
So is it going to, yeah. So around the rim of the vug, you can see the white crystals he was mentioning. You can see my heart beating as well. Yeah, but that's my Durbigny. And let me see here. Yeah, on there it is.
Oh yeah.
Well, yeah, so right there you can definitely see some bugs. Just a beautiful meteorite, Durbigny. And this was as well from our good friend E.T. So Edmund Thompson. So
he's awesome.
I really appreciate. You know what? Let me try something real quick. Let me pause this. Hey, all right, guys. Well, that brings us to about 2 hours. So we're gonna call it quits for the day. Definitely appreciate everyone joining us live. This is where all the cool cats are at. So, you know, join us live. You get to see all the fumblings of Zoom not working. Yeah, it's a good time. So thanks everyone for participating today. Appreciate everyone who showed off their hammer collections and offered information. Want to wish my best to you guys. Have a great evening. Take care.
Thanks,
Good
Good night.
Bye, guys. See you, Eric. Bye, guys.
Bye, boys.